Hello there. Thanks for joining us on the Midday News on TVC. Let's bring you the updates now. We're staying in Abuja, where President Muhammadu Buhari has apologized to Nigerians over one of the pressing problems in the country, and that's petrol scarcity and power outage currently being experienced across all zones in the country. The president's apology was contained in a statement signed by his spokesman, Mr. Garba Shehu, who assured that the federal government is taking steps to address the situation. The president expressed regret over the inconveniences experienced by Nigerians regarding petrol shortage, adding that actions will be taken against those responsible for worsening the situation at the depots. On the issue of power outages witnessed recently in various parts of the country, President Buhari explained the main challenge was identified as being one of low gas power generation due to acts of sabotage on gas pipelines, which led to the shutdown of power plants. He added that the routine maintenance of other gas power plants also contributed to the situation. The president further explained that emergency measures had to be put in place after a meeting convened with key stakeholders to address the low power generation in the country. And that meeting, according to President Buhari, led to agreements on key actions between the players in the Nigerian electricity supply industry and the NNPC. He assured that the progress on the key action plans has yielded the results of a restoration of 375 megawatts to the grid after the pipeline from Obiano was repaired. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has made some explanations on the current wave of power shortages in the country. He says the routine maintenance of power generation plants is a contributory factor to the current situation. Habida Lawal has the story.
The state of electricity supply in Nigeria is being resolved with the ongoing restoration of normal operations. Amid rising cost of diesel, the national electricity grid has collapsed again and again and is coming after a warning from electricity generation companies. The Minister of Power, Abubakar says the sector is where it is today because of the increasing vandalization of pipelines that also supply gas to the power plant, which is presently being resolved in collaboration with the relevant agencies. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission also identifies the drastic drop in the level of electricity generation capacity as part of the problem. Power generation dropped recently from a national average of about 5,300 megawatts in October 2021 to about 4,300 megawatts in March 2022. The drop in power generation, the NEC chairman said, was traced to the decline in electricity generation from the country's hydropower plant.
Power plants were attacked. It was the pipelines that were attacked, pipelines delivering gas to the plants. And usually they attack the crude pipeline, and because a lot of the gas is coming from associated gas in the course of producing oil, that disrupts the generation of gas, and then that also disrupts generation of power.
The first collapse we had started because of a trip on 330 kV line in the Benin axis of the network. And that was caused by conductor snap.
The latest grid collapse confirmed the generating company's position that the Nigerian system operator had been prevailing on the energy generating firms to switch off and on their plant on a daily basis. Technically, the machines should not be turned off and on for more than 20 times in a year. But owing to the weakness of the grid, which cannot endure over 4,000 megawatts, the generating plants have been switched off and on up to 365 times in a year. The Gencos have called for an urgent meeting of all stakeholders in the power sector to resolve all issues with the hope of finding a lasting solution. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
And still in Abuja, the House of Representatives has waded into the crisis between the Federal Capital Territory Administration and NISA Premier Hospital over Gariki General Hospital. The House also called on the federal and state governments to enforce compulsory free education for children. to arrest rising insecurity. National Assembly correspondent Jokia Disa reports.
In March 2007, the Federal Capital Territory Administration signed a concession agreement with Nisa Premier Hospital to manage the Gariki General Hospital, Abuja, on a public-private partnership arrangement. The Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission Act provides that a 36-month notice be issued in the event of a termination of such an agreement. But on the 1st of March 2022, FCTA gave the management of the hospital a 1-month notice to vacate and hand over the facility.
Mr. Speaker,
Benue legislator Benjamin Uzodu and 2 others are concerned about alleged procedural flaws in the planned contract termination.
you have children in the incubator machine there who needs minimum 90 days. And we're talking about 30 days here. We have the mortuary that is filled up. How do we evacuate it?
They are more worried that the jobs of over 900 workers, including 21 consultants, are on the line.
The procedure has not been adhered to. The concessionaire had been writing pursuant to the agreement they signed.
The lawmakers resolved that the FCTA should stay action on the termination of the agreement pending the outcome of their 1-week probe. The rise in criminality and banditry necessitated Oshu member Bamidele Salam to sponsor a motion on the need for government at all levels, including the FCTA, to enforce compulsory free education in Nigeria.
Neglect of these children puts their future and indeed the future of Nigeria in jeopardy, as they are exposed to getting recruited into kidnapping, robbery gangs, drugs, and other crimes.
The House subsequently calls on the Chief of Army Staff and the IGP to save parts of Sokoto State from being annihilated.
People are having a serious situation of hopelessness. At random, these people find liberty in just coming into any community, busting in, killing, shooting sporadically and killing whoever come to their site.
The 2-man emergency rescue team on the evacuation of Nigerians trapped in the Russia-Ukraine war, led by House Leader Alhassan Adodogwa, has now laid its report ahead of its consideration at a later date. Jokia Disa, TVC News, Abuja.
Away from the Federal Capital Territory to Anambra State, which now has a new governor in the person of Charles Soludo. Professor Soludo took over as the 5th governor of the state from Willie Obiano. In the minutes after taking his oath of office, the governor promised to hit the ground running. Mr. Soludo's inauguration came about 4 months after his victory at the governorship poll. Correspondent Bamidele Ajayi reports.
This is certainly his last appearance at a state event as the governor of Anambra State after 8 years. Then a guard of honor for the new governor, Professor Ojukwu Soludo. The oath of office and oath of allegiance were administered to the new governor and his deputy. Governor Soludo went ahead to assure the people of his mission in the state seat of power.
The detailed plan rests on 5 key pillars. The first is law and order, and that is homeland peace and security. The second, economic transformation as Nigeria's next axis of industrial, tech, and leisure. And fourth is competitive and progressive social agenda to deal with education, health, youth, women, and vulnerable groups. And then governance, rule of law, and the rebirth of our value system.
He promised to effect radical change to deliver a better Anambra State that will be a model for other states to emulate.
Let the elite in the closet come out and let's debate our future and forge a consensus. The conspiracy of silence by the elite and some of the community leaders must end.
Expectations are high as stakeholders in the state are optimistic that Governor Soludo will redefine governance in the state.
Governance is about caring for the poor. It's about ensuring that people are pulled out of poverty. And look at his promises today. He consistently maintained that he's going to work for the people. He's going to secure the states.
You can see how he has started. He said he's come with a process of disruptive change. In other words, trying to change the ways of doing things in the past.
The operas of this world drove the ascendance of Eastern region into perhaps the fastest growing economy in the world. It did not come from Lagos down. It came from Enugu up.
Professor Ojukwu Soludo is the 6th democratically elected governor in the state since the creation of Anambra State in 1991. He is the 3rd elected governor of the state under the platform of the All Progressive Grand Alliance. Bamigdele Ajayi, TVC News, Oka.
And while Professor Soludo and his deputy took their oath of office, the wife of the former governor was involved in an embarrassing drama still generating national reactions. Mrs. Obiano, who arrived late at the event, walked to the wife of late Chief Ojukwu, where a brief altercation took place before Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu was said to have slapped the former governor's wife. It took the quick intervention of people around them, including some ABGA leaders and clerics, to avert what may have or could have turned out into a full-blown fight. It is not clear yet what caused the fracas, but there are reports that the former governor's wife confronted Mrs. Ojukwu, asking why she attended the event when she did not support the government during the election. Anambra State, Willie Obiano, is still in custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He was arrested by the commission on Thursday evening at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Mr. Obiano, who has been on the commission's watch list for months, was picked by the EFCC at about 8:30 p.m., hours after the inauguration of his predecessor or his successor, Chief Ojukwu Soludo. He was reportedly on his way out of the country to Houston, Texas, in the United States after handing over. The EFCC had requested the Nigerian Immigration Service to inform it anytime the governor is traveling out of the country from any of the international airports, as well as other points of entry and exit. It is, however, not clear why the anti-graft agency placed the governor on a watch list. The Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, says his tenure has not elapsed and he will not be resigning. He made this clarification while declaring open the 2021 National Association of Judiciary Correspondents Media Conference in Abuja. His reaction is coming after reports making the rounds on social media suggest that he has resigned from office. We have details of this report.
The 2023 general election is approaching. Judiciary correspondents in Abuja are mindful of the fact that they may be conscripted to spread false information about personalities and issues. Many public officers have been victims of malicious and mischievous media report, deliberate distortion of facts from more professional media practitioners. This has in turn rubbed off on professional media practitioners. The media is important in shaping public opinion, but hate speech and fake news challenge the collective culture of peaceful and harmonious coexistence as a people. This conference is to prepare judiciary correspondents against such eventualities. It is declared open by the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. He believes that there must be consequences for journalists who offer themselves to be used to spread fake information about personalities. He makes reference to an online publication which suggested that he had resigned his position as the AGF as fake news. He also noted that his office always insists on due diligence as he does scrutiny, as well as beyond reasonable doubt and impeccable precedence in determination of issues.
Some unprofessional information disseminators will be taken aback that Malami, that was claimed to have resigned as Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, was declaring this unique conference of journalists as Attorney General of the Federation. And to everything, my time in office as an Attorney General of the Federation has not yet ended.
Cost to life and property by those travels in this era of insecurity is mitigated. Above all, the delays that were the hallmark of our criminal trials are now cushioned by the virtual court sittings.
To call on both the executive and legislature to look into the budgetary allocation to the judiciary with a view to jacking it up to enable it to meet up with the challenges that may arise in the conduct of 2023 elections.
Journalists were advised to refrain from fake news, hate speech, inflammatory statement, indictment, defamation in their reportage that would jeopardize the peaceful coexistence in the society.
And still in Abuja, the Federal High Court has discharged and acquitted the former Chief of Air Staff, Muhammad Umar, of charges accusing him of financial diversion from the account of the Nigerian Air Force. The retired Air Marshal got a one count of money laundering charges involving 66 million naira allegedly taken from the account of the Nigerian Air Force during his time as the Chief of Air Force between 2010 and 2012. Judiciary correspondent Celestina Ira has the report.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had in 2016 charged former Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Muhammad Umar, retired, with a 7-count charge of money laundering while in office between 19 September 2010 and 10 October 2012. The prosecution alleged that the Air Marshal diverted over 4.8 billion naira and used the funds to acquire property in choice areas of Abuja and other places. After the prosecution closed its case with 12 witnesses, the defendants filed a no-case submission, urging the court to dismiss the entire 7 counts on the grounds that the evidence by the prosecution did not link him to the offences. Ruling on the propriety of the evidence led by the EFCC in February 2021, the judge dismissed 6 out of the 7 counts initially filed against Mr. Umar by the Anti-Graft Agency. Delivering judgment on the case, Justice Nnamdi Ndingba held that there is nothing in the evidence of the prosecution proving Mr. Umar instructed the transfer of the said funds to the renovation of his private property in Abuja. Part of the findings made by Justice Nnamdi Ndingba while delivering judgment is that it would be dangerous to speculate on wide assumption that the retired Air Marshal must be aware of every transactions from the NAF account. However, the judge ordered the former Chief of Air Staff to refund the sum of 57 million naira to the Nigerian Air Force within 7 working days.
If somebody is discharged and acquitted yet an order is met, well, that is subject of an appeal. When we read the judgment, we will see what we can do.
The said funds Mr. Mari is being asked to return was the actual amount used in refurbishing his private property at Asukoro area in Abuja. Celestina Area, TVC News, Abuja.
And now to the challenges of security in the country. In Niger State, over 100 bandits have been killed by joint security operatives in Bangi Mariga local government area of the state. The state government says that the bandits were the same group that attacked a divisional police station in Nasco and were killed while trying to escape to Zamfara state. Chenemi Bami reports.
On Tuesday the 15th of March, gunmen launched an attack on Nasco, killing the divisional police officer and 6 other security operatives. On Wednesday, the bandits besieged Bangi Divisional Police Station with the aim of carrying out a similar attack on security personnel. But they were met with resistance as joint security operatives had gotten a wind of the plan and fearlessly engaged the terrorists, leading to the killing of dozens of the criminals, while many others escaped with gunshot injuries attempting to cross over into Zamfara state. 65 motorcycles were reportedly recovered with guns. The Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello has commended the joint security operatives for their gallantry in repelling the attack. The governor, in a statement by his chief press secretary, Mary Noel Berger, acknowledged the dedication of the conventional and unconventional security agencies in the fight against terrorism in the state. He said it is soul-soothing to know that the criminals had a bad outing. The government says security has been reinforced in that area and it will continue to provide necessary support to security operatives to keep out the activities of bandits within its borders. Chenemi Bami, TVC News, Mina.
And still on security and maintenance, the Chief of Army Staff conference with principal staff officers and field commanders has ended in Abuja with a resolve to implement actionable ideas to tackle insecurity. Sifon Essien has details here.
The conference ends with new strategies which the Chief of Army Staff says will be reflected in its operations across the country.
Our interactions, which have been honest, frank and professional, have produced actionable ideas which I believe will improve our ongoing operations and other activities.
The Army Chief also announced that a new welfare scheme is at its final stage for 7 personnel, and even after they are done with their service.
The welfare packages, which are in the final stages of consideration, are designed to improve the well-being of the personnel, both while in service and in life after service.
What is yet to be seen is how these new strategies would translate into improved security in the country.
And now to the foreign scene. Ukrainian officials say that Russian strikes have hit the capital, Kiev, Lviv in the west, Kharkiv and Kramatorsk in the east. Mariupol City Council says rescuers are trying to clear debris at the city's collapsed theater amid continuous shelling. Ukrainian officials also said that 3,810 people were evacuated from several cities on Thursday, including about 2,000 who left the besieged city of Mariupol. Giving its own statistics, the World Health Organization said that it has verified 43 attacks on Ukraine healthcare facilities. And that's the news update at this time. Stay tuned for more updates at top of the hour. Bye now.